Hey folks, Jimmy here, aka Palette for Dead. Welcome back to the channel and welcome to something slightly different. But before we jump into that, as per usual, if you like these type of videos, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and drop me a comment down below. I love hearing back from you guys. It goes a massive way to helping out the channel too. Now, as I said at the very beginning, this is something slightly different. With this video, I wanted to test out discussions with you lovely folks. Now, these videos, as I say, are a test, so they will change probably over time, and they might not be very common on the channel, but your feedback, your comments are highly welcomed. I would love to read them as well, so it goes a massive way. Right, let's jump into it. So, a little bit of background about myself. I have been in the retail and customer service industry for the last 20 years, 16 years just in one company, and I have a few qualifications linked to my role, and I feel I know what I'm talking about when it comes to good customer service. Now obviously, alongside this, I have enjoyed Games Workshop's products, and I've enjoyed them for the best portion of 20 years really, starting with the excellent Lord of the Rings minis, then progressing to a bit of old Hammer, then Age of Sigmar, 40k and Blood Bowl and some more, and they've been really enjoyable. However, GW has a slight issue in the fact that customer satisfaction isn't always the best with them. Now, if we take a look at customer reviews on, say for instance, Trustpilot, GW has a score of 1.8 out of 5. However, considering the size of a company, they actually only have less than 100 reviews on Trustpilot, which is slightly bizarre. But a few of them are also the same person. So, with that in mind, the score would actually average out to probably about a 2 out of 5, maybe even a 2.3. But that's still not very good for a company that is loved by people within the hobby. There are many reasons behind all these review scores. Some of the reviews revolve around the pre-order system in place, and a good portion of new releases do get snapped up by scalpers within seconds of going live, taking it out of the hands of the more genuine customer that's now unable to get hold of a product, leaving them unhappy, and see scalpers decide what they're going to do is buy them and then ship them all and send them all off and put them all on eBay and all that type of stuff and sell them for sometimes double the RRP, which I must admit I really hate, and I think it's a disgusting behaviour, and these scalpers are not a good part of the hobby space. They're a big negative, and in all honesty they should be ashamed of themselves, and that's just not going for this hobby space. This goes for anything. If you are scalping products, you're generally a bit of a scumbag, in my opinion, and I think a few other people would agree with me. Obviously, you know, everyone is free to make their own money and everything like that, and you know, making money is a nice thing to do. However, what you're doing is a bit scummy. It's not the greatest. Now, obviously, some of this has to do with the availability of products from GW, which has always been balanced on a knife edge, with either only small quantities being available or a very poorly managed pre-order system. To fix this, GW could either produce more stock, or they could implement a better pre-order system. For instance, cancelling pre-orders that match to existing email accounts and addresses but already have those pre-ordered. For instance, a few years ago, many retailers did a very similar approach with the PlayStation 5 consoles, with many retailers implementing a one pre-order per person stance, and in some cases flat out cancelling pre-orders for some people because they had already ordered one or multiple and stuff like that. And you know what? It worked. It made the product more available to the genuine customer over the, you know, the person who's going to buy something for £100 and then price it up and put it on eBay for £180, for instance. It made things a lot better for the general consumer, which is exactly what GW should really want, in all honesty. Obviously, The other option is, of course, producing more stock. This is a very costly way of doing things, however. So if you're producing more stock, your production obviously is increased, and you can argue, though, in the long term, there is an increase in revenue, and you don't create a FOMO kind of experience. So a fear of missing out is what FOMO stands for, and that is sometimes the way that GW seems to work on things. So like, you have that fear of missing out on new sets like the latest Kill Team and stuff like that, and other boxes. They've made it so people worry about missing out on that, so they're on the website at 10 AM on a Saturday trying to pre-order, only to get, completely screwed out of it by, some random bloke who's got like 4 different web pages open, 4 different accounts going, and is buying 4 different copies because he's going to whack them all on eBay for 50 quid extra than what he's paid, because scum. Now, obviously that would be a very, very nice thing for them to do. Whether they could do it, I don't know, and whether they would be willing to do it is the next biggest question. But that is generally what I would love to see them do, is increase their output, or just have a better pre-order system in place. It'll solve some issues. Another thing GW is actually very heavily criticised for is price at the moment, and rightly so. Warhammer is a very expensive hobby. The cost is key for a lot of people at the moment right now, especially in the UK. We have a cost of living crisis where gas, electricity and many, many more things are far more expensive than they should be because of politics and all that type of stuff, and we'll leave that there because I don't want to go into politics on the channel. A way GW can avoid this criticism is, though, of course, lowering prices. So obviously they do have a cost price at everything, but £32.50 for a battle tome is, in my opinion, quite excessive. When you get battle tomes that are released for most factions every couple of years, it would be nice if they just made them cheaper, or they just made it so you could just update the new part to the battle tome. Or the alternative is make an edition of, say, Age of Sigmar last longer. So at the moment, the average length that a edition of Warhammer lasts is between 3 and 4 years. Make it 5 years. Make it 5 years per edition, a single battle tome per edition. So none of this, 2 different versions of the Soulblight Gravelords battle tome or anything like that, like the original one and then a newer updated one, for instance. Just give us one single one for an entire edition, and that'll be perfect. If new models are going to come out in that time and they're not in the battle tome, just the easiest way to do it is have a battle tome upgrade, a thin little pamphlet of, say, 5-6 pages that give us the new war scrolls or codex parts and stuff like that, data sheets and much, much more for new units. And that can make it far better. It makes it more affordable and makes it better for the customer in the long run. Now, the other thing that GW could do, and that cost kind of really kind of plays into, is how expensive minis are getting. So at the moment, the situation in the world is kind of the cost price of plastic, as far as I'm aware, has increased, and this obviously isn't a great sign, but obviously this should come down at some point, hopefully. However, the price of minis does feel quite over the top. If you're buying a box of the new Seraphon Agrodon Lances, for instance, you get 3 in a box for £37.50, which is £12.50 per mini. That is not a lot for your money. It would be so much nicer if there was 4 or 5 of those in a box for that price point. It would be absolutely great. It would be really nice for everybody's wallet. Now, obviously, there is a solution that customers can take to this, and that is vote with your wallet. By all means, shop with the great third-party retailers such as Element Games, Goblin Gaming, Wayland Games, and many more, and these guys offer you a discount on GW products at release as well as afterwards, which is a great way to do things. So instead of paying £52.50 for the new Slan Star Master, you could pay 42 quid, £10.50 off, and you still got the same product. And sometimes you get better satisfaction from the customer service with these guys. The same with a lot of independent retailers. They offer you a discount on the product, so it is always worth shopping round and not going directly to Games Workshop until they kind of sort out their prices, because in all honesty, it does price people out of the hobby. Another solution that I have personally for GW is, obviously GW customers are generally quite loyal. They will buy a box of, say for instance, 5 Space Marine Assault in a box of like a Space Marine Assault Intercessors. You get 10 in a box, don't you, or something like that. And then a couple of weeks later, they will happily buy a Redemptor Dreadnought. You need to reward people for their loyalty, which obviously a lot of companies already do with reward schemes. For instance, reward cards that many retailers have, such as Boots, Waterstones and Tesco's, Game and places like that, give you money back for what you're spending. So the more you spend, the more you earn, the more discount you get, the more you're likely to go back and spend. It's a simple way of doing things. Now, talking about reward cards, let's take Game's reward scheme for instance. At Game at the moment, if for every £100 you spend, you get £1 back. It's not the greatest, it's 1%. But once you have £1 on that card, you can use that as a discount, so you could save £1 on something. And the other thing that ties in with the first point about pre-orders is, with Game, if you haven't got a reward card, you can't pre-order something, which is a great way of helping fix things, because you also have a transactional history and such like that can kind of stop people from pre-ordering or over pre-ordering items and stop you getting away with the kind of dirty techniques that scalpers go through. Also, though, if Games Workshop wanted to take it further like Game did a fair few years ago now, they could release a paid version of a reward scheme, so kind of like a reward card upgrade, and where you do a thing called, like what Game do, which is called Game Elite, where you're paying it's like £3 per month, or you pay an upfront fee of £36 for 12 months, you get enhanced reward points. So instead of getting 1% back on your brand new copy of Star Wars Jedi Survivor, you get 10% back. So instead of 60p, £6. Far better, and it increases the potential for people to come back and spend money. The other thing that Game do with the Elite rewards is they give exclusive monthly deals, which could earn you, say, extra £5 on a specific product, or double Elite points, or exclusive competitions and such like. It works. It's a way of getting extra money in your till as a retailer kind of point of view, and you help out your customer. You increase loyalty by providing something to be loyal for. If you're just providing a product, you don't increase loyalty. For instance, I will shop around everywhere. I generally don't order directly from Games Workshop very often, or buy from any of the Warhammer stores, because I know, for instance, I can go onto Wayland Games or Element Games or even Goblin Gaming, save some money. With a couple of these, they do loyalty schemes. So Goblin Gaming do a loyalty scheme. Occasionally they do double or 3 times the reward points scheme, and it works. It encourages you to spend money, and it encourages loyalty, which is exactly what GW want. Some people don't agree with loyalty cards and don't want to give all their details, but tough luck, it's the way it works. It's a very well worked system. It's been around for a long time. Some companies take it too far, and you have to spend £250 to get £2 to get like a couple of quid off, like Sainsbury's in their Nectar card. But in all honesty, in some places it's very easy to spend that kind of money because they're supermarkets. But for a luxury retailer like Games Workshop, Game and places like that, a loyalty card is very nice to have, because you're rewarding your customer for spending money when they don't actually need to spend the money with you. one way of doing things. Whether GW would agree with it, I don't know, but that's my personal thoughts on it. Now, I am going to leave it right there. I would love to know what you guys think, though. So, would you like GW to introduce a reward scheme? Is there anything else you can think of that GW could do to keep favour with their customer base? Leave them in the comments down below, and we'll go through it at some point, I'm sure. But otherwise, thank you very, very much for watching. As I say, this is a test video. This isn't fully formed yet. We'll see how it goes from here. But I will catch you next time. Bye bye now.